If you look at this picture here, you can see that the 2010 preliminary figure suggests that we had a shipment that almost doubled up from the 2009 level. And the 2009, of course, was the worst or the lowest, if you say so, since the early 90s. And overall, on an average basis, the business is back to the good years of 2007 and 2008. So there has been a peak in Asia, of course. You can see there's an increase of plus 127%. It's more than doubled, actually. Europe was up 45%, not really catching up with the good years of 2007 and 2008. In the Americas, which includes Brazil, we were close to 90%. We are almost back to 2008 good level. If you look at the rest of the world, we are up 42%. Korea has had a remarkable increase. It was some plus 190%, which is close to triple the level of 2009. However, there are some additional companies reporting, but still the business increase is dramatic over there. Japan, who was hit very hard in the recession, had an increase of 70%, but you can see they are still far away from the good years in 2007 and 2008. North America, 90% increase, almost back to the 2007-2008 levels. It's actually back to the 2008 level, but not the 2007, which was slightly bigger. China, remarkable growth, 168% plus over 2009. And you can see that China is also by far exceeding the good years of 2007-2008. Germany had an increase of some 57%, I think, and they are close to getting back to the 2008 levels, and Italy also had some very good recovery. China and ASEAN are, of course, the highest increase countries here. In China has an almost triple increase here. Also Central Eastern Europe, pretty good recovery, basically back to the good days in 2008, 2007. India and Brazil, relatively low levels, but increasing fast. The areas that has been leading the recovery or the growth is electronics and electrical, and of course the automotive, the motor vehicles and the parts. If you add the automotive vehicles and the parts, you can see, of course, that's still the absolute biggest one. But there are some very good increase also in rubber and plastics, metal, food, relatively low but increasing fast. Pharmaceutical and cosmetics, lower but also growing fast. And soda, glass and ceramics is a little at the bottom there. So what do we see on the continued improvements of robotic technologies? There is a lot of focus on safety, and safety in the area of cooperating between workers and robotics. And there are some intelligent solutions coming into place with software and sensors and redundant security things, and that is going to help increase of robotics substantially also. There's an ever-increasing drive for more flexibility. There is an ever-increasing variety in goods being produced that drives flexibility, requirement for flexibility in the production, and also to handle the situations where you have variety of goods with low batch productions, which has some certain challenges for robotics, of course. There's a lot of things going in there. Ever-increasing focus on increased accuracy, easy of use. You know, some people talk about this. It should be as easy to program a robot as an iPhone. Maybe we get there someday. There are some specific challenges, of course, included with robotics. But there is a lot of things being done in easy of use programming, offline programming, and the interaction between manual programming and offline programming being completely transparent, etc. Higher speed, less space. New robots require less floor space. And of course, less energy consumption, and communication standards are being pushed hard. Automotive industry. Well, there is a lot of requirements for renewal of facilities around the world. And factory automation will dramatically accelerate it in the Asian market and other developing countries. And of course, there need to be new setup for producing the new type of hybrid or electric vehicles. Some areas that is also interesting, high-speed handling and pick and place is increasing, especially in the food and pharmaceutical industries. I mentioned that the level of automation is fairly low still, at least in the food and pharmaceutical, but it's growing very rapidly. The increase in demand on alternative energies, solar energies and things, are also going to have an increase in robotics. Small companies will try to increase the automation level to stay competitive, and I think we'll come back more later on in discussions about competitiveness. Of course, I talked about the further growing markets in China, South Korea, Malaysia, and India. Automotive industry will drive the automation level in China. They're still the biggest driver for that, but also for other industries like plastics, food, electronics, etc. There is still a relatively low level of automation in India, but there is a steady increase in all kinds of industry, including construction, machinery, railroad, and two-wheel vehicles, for example. There's a promising market for robotics, even though it's a low level today. We have an increasing use of robotics in the electronic industry and food and beverage in North America, and increasing consumer markets in Brazil and Russia, and I think Brazil is really on the front march in this area. And we have a continued recovery in Europe and North America. So, what do we think of the future here? I think the first quarter of 2011 has started very, very strong. It's always difficult to say how it continues for the rest of the year, but we would see right now probably between 10 and 15% increase over 2010, which was a very, very good year, of course. And going forward beyond that, we would be a little more conservative, maybe in the 5% increase range. And that basically concludes my quick overview of the situation of the robotic market 2010. Thank you.